My latest piece of premium content is Things Famous Dead People Said and Why They Were Wrong. A cynically comedic, nearly hour-long look at some of the most famous quotes spoken by people who are no longer alive. Kinda like Musical Autopsy, but about old famous quotes from people who are now dust. It's now available on Bandcamp for $2.50 Canadian. Available worldwide to anyone who either has a PayPal account or a credit card. If you've purchased either volume of Nerd Rants or You Are Not Special, you know the drill by now. The link's in the description. If you haven't purchased something from me before, this isn't like the fucking Marvel movies. All of these are standalone pieces of work. You don't need to have listened to one before the others. You can just pick and choose. Anyway, this time I decided not to bother with a trailer, but instead, I've decided to give you one of the tracks for free. If you like it, there's about 52 more minutes waiting to be consumed. And it's super cheap, especially if you live somewhere where your currency kicks the shit out of Canada's currency. So, pretty much everywhere. And it helps support me creating my free weekly content for you, keeping my recording equipment up to date and purchase the occasional Snickers. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Just listen to my free Sunday rants every week and keep living your life. So, here's track 7, about a certain famous US president. Enjoy. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Let's take a moment to imagine what it would have been like had Twitter existed when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. R.I.P. JFK would be the number 2 trend, with Beatles Please Come to USA just above it. People that liked Kennedy would be telling us how sad they are in 140 characters or less, with their very next tweet being something like, "Going to the sock hop with my girls tonight, eee!" And people that hated him or didn't care would be making jokes. JFK equals just fucking killed, LOL. And, guess you picked the wrong day to ride in a convertible, huh, Jackie boy? A bunch of people would be accusing Joe DiMaggio or Arthur Miller of pulling the trigger. Then Lee Harvey Oswald's Twitter account would just all of a sudden be deleted. Anyway, JFK was the president the United States needed at the time. A likable, young by presidential standards, charismatic, and upbeat leader. The US just finished fighting 2 wars. One that they helped win, and one that they kinda got the shit kicked out of them in. And they were starting to take a bigger hand in another, Vietnam. The nation was gripped in fear by the Cold War, and Nixon would have gone over about as well as the Hindenburg. JFK was the guy for the job, no question. And with all this in mind, JFK, in his inaugural address, had to rally not just the troops, but the citizens of the United States to bring them together as one. Get them to put the needs of the country before the needs of themselves. Don't ask us for shit. We need you to do some shit for us right now. In far less eloquent terms. And at the time, maybe this made sense. To a degree. The debate continues about whether the US should have sent anyone to Vietnam or let them fight it out themselves, and Lyndon Johnson basically said, "Never mind asking what you can do for your country. We'll fucking tell you what you can do," by reinstituting the draft in the late 60s when shit got really real. But in case I haven't made it clear in my previous works, or this is the first time ever listening to me speak, I'm not a patriotic person. I don't believe in nationalism. Ask not what your country can do for you? Fuck you, Kennedy, you whoremongering prick. The country owes me everything. As a citizen of a nation, I pay taxes, I work, and I purchase goods and services from other working taxpayers, stimulating the economy, and ensuring that politicians get paid. Without citizens, a country is nothing, just a patch of land surrounded by invisible walls, or if some Americans have their way, very visible walls. So, what am I paying taxes for? For people to sit around and make decisions on my behalf that I may or may not agree with but can't do anything about? Yeah, that's what I was hoping a third of my paycheck would go to, paying other people to fuck around. No, the country owes me something in return for my money. Healthcare's a great start. Some Americans hate the idea of free healthcare. They're the same ones that rush to Dairy Queen for free ice cream day, but they don't want free healthcare. Why? Because it's not free. You have to pay for it by paying taxes. I don't want to be paying for some other person getting sick like some kind of commie. I'll keep my money and worry about it myself. It'll probably just go to Obama buying his daughters more puppies and black people clothes anyway. This is the type of backwards thinking that results in people going broke when they themselves get sick. How many stories do you hear about people going bankrupt because they got cancer, needed major heart surgery, or a new kidney or something? Hey, I'm alive, but I'm broke. The bank foreclosed on my home. But no more lung cancer. You know how many stories you hear about that happening in Canada? None. It doesn't happen. I know I just talked about how it's not completely free here in another rant, but it's not like the US. There's the joke that Breaking Bad would have basically been a YouTube short if it took place in Canada. He'd go to the doctors, get his cancer diagnosis, and that treatment starts next week. The end. Medication can be a little pricey unless you have a drug plan through your work. Prescriptions aren't free. But everything from visits to your family doctor to tests to major surgeries, all paid for. Hospitals don't bill patients here. Why? Because that's the least our country can do for us with all the extra money we pay them. Never mind offering quality education, road and infrastructure maintenance, emergency services, all things that our country should do for us, and in return, we owe them nothing more than the money we're already giving them. We shouldn't think, oh, what can I do for my country who's being so generous? Nothing. They aren't giving us shit. Just providing us what we're owed when we're coughing up an extra few percent every time we buy anything even as small as a chocolate bar, and taking a chunk of our paychecks. That's what we can do for our country, and all we need to do. Ask not what your country can do for you. No, always ask what your country can do for you. Because your country won't ask what you can do for them. They'll just tell you. If you stop asking, you'll get exactly what you asked for. Sweet dick all.